yourself have been quoted as saying your greatest game was the first ever World Cup, the inaugural World Cup. But for most of us, who, when you came to the UK, we all became West Indians. For most of us, the 1984 epic in Manchester, that was the game.
Victory belongs to him. Oh.
She is one of Antigua's most sought-after gospel artists. Yet it wasn't always that way. Dornell Simon grew up singing in church, but one day, she chose to walk away from it all.
Hey, they say I got it, brother. Hey, can never stop this, brother. Hey, they giving up the suckers. Hey, look back in the mirror, they gon' see me coming. Switch from dark to light, and so you know I shook 'em. All I had was chances, so you know I.
Kiufupi wa tisha.
Wajua nini Maria? Yani nataka mnipendeze.
Wasemaje? Ama kola sonaja mnamji wenu Kupe mama gana. Namshangaa. Kambe vile alijua.
Hapa kaliki mheshimiwa, huyu amehatarisha maisha yangu hapo hatarini.
Vipi? Utatoka vipi sasa?
Huyu alikuja na shida yake.
Nobody will believe you because you say a terrible truth. You preach the end among terrorized men.
My name is Jeremiah.
But your word is God's word. Your voice is God's voice. And you, Jeremiah, are God's prophet.
Kutafuta job na hakuna.
Unafikiria mimi nasikiaje? Mimi nimeumia shingo, siwezi hata kufight. Hata unaweza na kubox.
Listen, hakuna mwanamke asha participate kwa underground fights.
Mimi ndiye nitakuwa first. Meleta rent.
Unafikiria naweza chukua hizi chapa?
So when this time came, I knew there was something I wanted to say about Kisumu.
Yeah.
So that I had this Kisumu town.
Yes.
The picture in me, the people, the kind of transport.
Yes.
When you go to Kisumu, you can go by air. You know we are Jalus.
Yeah.
You can fly to Kisumu.
Yes.
You can use different means.
Yes.
I was in clubs, entertaining, dancing. I'm a good dancer. I was dancing Dombolo, your solo. If you know Dombolo. I don't know if you used to love Lingala music.
I love Lingala.
Me, I'm a serious dancer. I'm still a serious dancer.
Yes.
Dekeido tera wina, ayaye tera diamba Kisumu, Kisumu ber Kisumu. Tetera diaba Kisumu, boda boda, swaya kondele. Hey, I'm Susanna Wheel. Catch me on the Cynthia Nyamai's show.
Good evening, I am Fayaz Qureshi. It's an absolute pleasure hosting my comeback bulletin with the Legends edition on KBC Channel 1. Stay tuned for our guest on the Living Legends segment, the iconic legend Assef Karim, whose sporting achievements have left many spellbound. A sign language interpreter tonight is Lucy Moura. Let's take a quick look at our highlights for tonight's bulletin.
The court brought the voice of Wanjiku to life and called on us to move on to the most pressing needs of our citizens and our nation.
Sasa hawa jamaa wameruka wamesimu kwenda pande lingine. Tunasema sawa. Kuvunjika kwa mwiko sio mwisho wa upishi. Tunatupa hii ambayo imevunjika tunachukua nyingine. Ama sivyo?
Deputy President William Ruto terms decision by the appellate court on BBI a win for the rule of law, while ODM leader Raila Odinga vows to soldier on in his quest for the country's reforms.
They arrive in Saudi Arabia and they go about with their business normally. And this is not our country. This is a foreign country. So we have no jurisdiction. And we must follow their law.
Close to 100 Kenyans have died in one of the Middle East countries in the last 2 years, says Labour Cabinet Secretary Simon Chelugui. On the penultimate day of the World Under-20 Athletics Championships at Kasarani.
Welcome back. Now, starting off with our top story tonight, Deputy President William Ruto now says the decision by the Court of Appeal that dismissed the Building Bridges Constitutional Amendment Bill appeal was a win for the Constitution and the rule of law. Ruto said the ruling reaffirmed that Kenya is a country governed by the rule of law, but not the political elite. This, as ODM leader Raila Odinga said, the flopping of BBI at the courts is not the end of the road for the quest to transform this country.
Addressing the media at his Karen residence a day after the Court of Appeal affirmed the High Court decision on BBI, Ruto said the voice of Kenyans was amplified through the landmark decision.
The court brought the voice of Wanjiku to life and called on us to move on to the most pressing needs of our citizens and our nation.
In a thin-veiled attack to the chief proponents of the BBI process, Ruto said the Court of Appeal reaffirmed Kenya was not a preserve of the selected few.
The court decision reaffirms that Kenya is a country governed by the rule of law, not the rule of men.
The Deputy President said so much resources have been spent on the BBI process, noting that it is time to recoup lost time and begin to address issues that are affecting Kenyans.
It is time for us to join hands and pursue the priorities of Wananchi with the same urgency, vigor that has been dedicated to the BBI. We must make up for all the time lost, resources spent, and opportunities foregone in the knowledge that time is of the essence.
Meanwhile, ODM leader Raila Odinga has vowed to soldier on in his quest to unite Kenyans ahead of 2022 general election, despite the BBI setback delivered by the Court of Appeal yesterday. Speaking in Bondo during the burial of the former director of the National AIDS Control Council, Dr. Patrick Anyango Orege, Odinga said the focus of BBI proponents will now shift to ensuring that he wins next year's polls under the Azimio la Umoja push that will open up the opportunity for future constitutional review.
Ile katiba ambayo ilipitishwa na Wakenya kamili ilikuwa ile ya Bomas. Na hiyo ndio marekebisho ambayo BBI ilikuwa inataka kufanya. Sasa hawa jamaa wameruka wamesimu kwenda pande lingine. Tunasema sawa. Kuvunjika kwa mwiko sio mwisho wa upishi. Tunatupa hii ambayo imevunjika tunachukua nyingine, ama sivyo?
The ODM leader stated that he was not surprised by the court decision, saying he is used to such ruling, maintaining that the will of Kenyans will eventually prevail.
Tunaheshimu ile uamuzi ambao walitoa. Manake hiyo ndio kazi yao. Walisoma sheria na wakaamua vile waliamua. Na sisi tumezoea maamuzi kama haya. Wakati ile section 2A ilikuwa mbaya kabisa, kila mara mahakamani tunaambiwa katiba haikubali.
Suleiman Yeri, Legends Edition.
Friday's ruling by the Court of Appeal that threw out the BBI process has elicited mixed reaction from a section of leaders. Anglican Church of Kenya Bishop Jackson Ole Sapit has called on leaders to respect the ruling, terming it an indication that there is independence in the judiciary. This as Garissa MCAs who had contrary opinion on the BBI bill say they have been vindicated.
Yesterday's Court of Appeal judgment that for the second time stopped the BBI reggae on its track has attracted divided opinion amongst leaders. The leaders saying the outcome demonstrated the independence of the judiciary, which has been allegedly the lame duck among the three arms of government. Anglican Church of Kenya Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit, while speaking in Embu, said any decision by any arm of government or an independent institution should be respected.
We have always been calling all of us to actually respect decisions of independent institutions and protect those institutions so that they protect Kenyans. So therefore, a strong and independent judiciary is a welcome idea.
Ushindi ambao tulipata jana ni kwa uwezo wa Mwenyezi Mungu. Hatutaki tuseme ati ni nguvu zetu. Ni Mungu aliangalia kwamba Wakenya wako na kilio. Na kilio ambayo wako nayo ni kwamba wangetaka hali yao ya maisha iweze kuinuliwa.
Sentiments echoed by a section of Jubilee Party elected leaders meeting in Laikipia East, who at the same time denied ever endorsing Orange Democratic Movement leader Raila Odinga or any other presidential aspirant for the 2022 general elections.
As leaders from Mount Kenya, we are committed to ensure that we actually get our people emancipated in terms of, empowered. Yeah, going forward with the right policies, with the right protections, whether we do it through Parliament, whether we do it through the Council of Governors, at all levels to help our people so that they can get off the economic hardships that they are in.
Tunaongea tuone zile offers ziko kwa table. Kwa hivyo hakuna kitu predetermined, zote ni kusikiza. Hakuna mtu ambaye atapewa kura za Mount Kenya kwa kikapu bila kutuambia ni nini Mount Kenya inapewa.
As a team, we are happy with the decision. We respect the decision by the judges. They exercise their mind. We have learned a lot from the judgment that they delivered. But there is a big thing, there is still a lot that we need to lead through and understand exactly the finer details.
Nominated Member of Parliament David Ole Sankok, who voted for the BBI bill in Parliament but turned a critic, welcomed the ruling, claiming it's a win for Kenyans.
We are happy and we want to thank our judiciary. I think it is the only independent institution in Kenya that is remaining truly independent.
A section of Garissa MCAs who voted no to the bill 2020 said that they have finally been vindicated.
Public participation has never been done to that document. And that document did not carry the interest of our people, the people we represent in this county, the interest we represent in the entire country.
But as the leaders expressed their reservations on the landmark ruling, police in Cabranet lobbied tear gas to members of county assembly. And jubilated members of the public who took to the streets to celebrate Court of Appeal judgment to declare BBI unconstitutional. Baringo County Assembly, which became the first county to shoot down BBI, celebrated the judgment, saying they are now vindicated.
The Court of Appeal's verdict on Fridays elicited mixed reactions among Kenyans. A cross-section of Wananchi interviewed lauded the ruling of 7-judge appellate bench, calling on leaders from across the political divide to focus on basic issues before the next election.
wananchi mpaka leo hawajaelewa sawasawa BBI ni nini. Tunaipenda na tunataka iwe, lakini BBI inaendeshwa kwa mbio ambazo mwananchi hana. Tunataka sisi mambo yote, watu wote waunganishwe, sababu Kenya ni yetu sisi wote.
Na tunaona saa hii Kenya yetu judiciary itaenda kuwa independent, na tunashukuru wale the 7 judges for the ruling ambao walifanya jana.
Sisi wote tulipata kushinda, hakuna mwenye alipoteza, kwa sababu koti ilifanya uamuzi wake kulingana na maoni ambayo ilipatiwana kotini na kuelekeza na kupatiana sababu ambayo inaweza kuangusha BBI.
Uamuzi wa koti ni nzuri, maana hao majaji wanajaribu kutumia sheria, wanaonesha wako na sheria ifuatwe. Sinaona hawana ubaya na BBI, maana ni nzuri.
The Court of Appeal's 7-judge bench on Friday declared the Building Bridges Initiative constitutional amendment process unconstitutional and unlawful, setting the stage for an appeal at the Supreme Court or going back to the drawing board altogether. Is it the end of the BBI process? What other options does the Building Bridges Constitutional Amendment Initiative have? Ben Troy Njue has the details.
On Friday, the Court of Appeal declared itself on the Building Bridges Constitutional Amendment Initiative after an appeal following the High Court decision that declared it unconstitutional, null and void.
Having determined all the issues that we considered germane in these consolidated appeals, the final orders of the court are as follows. A. We uphold the judgment of the High Court.
Its decision to uphold the High Court decision was met with mixed reactions among the legal fraternity.
Uamuzi wa Court of Appeal ni uamuzi, kuna upande mwingine wamesema High Court ilitoa uamuzi halali, kuna upande mwingine wamesema High Court haikutoa uamuzi halali.
There are still unanswered questions that the judgment has elucidated, and the fundamental ones are whether Kenyans can now be able to amend their constitution as they so wish.
The idea of the case heading to the Apex Court was very much alive.
We'll consider the judgment and see whether our clients will prefer an appeal.
We need to look at that judgment, read it carefully, and then we can consider whether or not we rest our case here, or that we address it either in another judicial forum or it becomes a political conversation.
Kila mtu atajiamulia, kwa sababu tulikuwa tuseme teams karibu 4, na tayari Raila Amolo Odinga amesema kwamba kuendelea mbele sio kwamba sisi sote tulikuwa pillars tutaenda kwenye mahakama ya juu. Kila mtu atajiamulia.
Many experts had welcomed the amendments to the Constitution through the Building Bridges Initiative process, but had warned of the gaping constitutional and legal challenges it faced.
The BBI was very good, and it's still very good. The approach was very wrong, because they did not consider certain aspects of our 2010 Constitution. There are many bills in the BBI that should have gone directly to Parliament and be passed. We must respect what we call the eternity clauses, because they help to cement our unity and sovereignty. The eternity clauses can only be changed on a single bill referenda, and with a very, very high threshold. So the mistake of the BBI proponents was to bundle several bills into one.
Particularly appealing against the service parts of the judgment in the Court of Appeal, because it is the orders against Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta in his personal capacity that will enable the public to recover their money.
ODM leader Raila Odinga in a tweet had indicated that it was time to move on, noting that parties involved would make their own decisions on the way forward. The BBI still has options that can be explored.
what we cannot achieve through the court can be achieved in the other arms of government, including Parliament. And what cannot be achieved through Parliament, we can have that conversation with the people of Kenya.
They should tone down the rhetoric, get the bills that will serve this country well passed through Parliament. The rest, I mean, this country is not ending in 2022. We still got a chance. A future generation will review that. Let each and every generation do what serves them.
Whether the proponents of the Building Bridges initiative consider an appeal at the Supreme Court, seek Parliament to further the amendment agenda, or go back to the drawing board, many have hailed the Court of Appeal decision as a win for the Constitution. For Legends Edition, I'm Ben Troinjue.
We'll take a short break and we'll be back in a short while. Stay with us.
Kupata aliye mzuri kama skiza tune, bonyeza *811 *817 hash.
Usiwahi kumwacha mtu mzuri kwa matarajio ya kumpata mzuri zaidi, kwani unaporejea kumtafuta aliye mzuri utampata alishaponyoka na kumpata anayemdhamini.
Kupata aliye mzuri kama skiza tune, bonyeza *811 *817 hash. *811 *817 hash.
Welcome back. Close to 100 Kenyans have died in one of the Middle East countries in the last 2 years, according to the latest data from the Ministry of Labour and Social Protection. Majority of the victims have died under mysterious circumstances amid allegations of rape and torture. This as Labour and Social Protection Cabinet Secretary Simon Chelugui announced plans of travelling to Saudi Arabia on a fact-finding mission.
Labour and Social Protection Cabinet Secretary Simon Chelugui says the government is keen to resolve the incidents by making sure that those working in the Middle East registered with the relevant embassies.
We are working together with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to address some of these concerns by Kenyans. We know they may have arrived in those countries by one reason or the other, and we are taking responsibility and duty of care as a government.
Chelugui noted that many of the job seekers had not registered, making it near impossible to track them in case of a crisis.
But as we speak now, they arrive in Saudi Arabia and they go about with their business normally. And this is not our country. This is a foreign country. So we have no jurisdiction. And we must follow their laws.
The Cabinet Secretary, who met the ministry's officials in Naivasha, defended recruitment agents in the country, noting that currently all 420 registered with the ministry had been vetted before getting the licenses.
You will know who is your employer, where are they located, what is their status. They carry out for you due diligence, so that as you leave, you are sure and clear where you are going.
At the same time, the ministry is working on child care reforms in the wake of rising abuse cases amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Some of the reforms include moving children from orphanages to foster homes while addressing the rising cases of violence against women.
1,286 people have tested positive for COVID-19 from a sample size of 8,310 screened over the last 24 hours. The positivity rate is now 15.5%, according to the Ministry of Health. Total confirmed positive cases are now 228,363, while cumulative tests so far conducted are 2,305,988. 32 patients have lost the battle to COVID-19, all being late deaths reported after conducting facility audits in April, July and August. Globally, more than 211 million people have contracted coronavirus and over 4.41 million people have died, according to the Johns Hopkins University. A 42-year-old woman from Kwabulu in Nyali constituency, Mombasa County, is desperately seeking for financial assistance to purchase prescribed medication that will assist in reducing a huge swelling on her head so that she can undergo an operation. Magdalene Mwende was in February this year diagnosed with thyroid cancer and needs a monthly dose of 256,000 shillings for 9 months before she undergoes the operation. We caution our viewers that the videos you are about to see may be disturbing.
Meet Magdalene Mwende Kasulu, 42, from Kwabulu area in Nyali constituency, a mother of 2 boys. Her story is heartbreaking. She is in pain and the swellings on her head and neck adds to her discomfort and miseries. According to Mwende, the first swelling occurred in 2016, which she ignored for a long while until last year when it worsened.
Anzia 2016 ndio niliona kauvimbe kametokea. Nikakaa wakana uchungu, lakini nikaanza kutafuta daktari matibabu. Nikapata mapeni kilazi za kuweza kupunguza, lakini haikuweza kuisha. Mwaka jana mwezi wa 9 ndio ikaanza uvimbe ya kichwani. Kukaanza kuwasha, nikijikuna, kukawa na uchungu zaidi.
The pain was unbearable and she decided to leave her home in Mwea to seek medical assistance in Mombasa, where she now lives with her younger sister.
Ni mapeni kila za kutuliza, zikiisha inaanza tena. Nikajiuliza sasa ina maana gani? Nimehangaika, nimechoka. Wacha mkimbilie dadangu, manake alikuwa anashinda sauti akisema njoo. Nikasema wacha tu niende. Sikuwa nataka kumsumbua. Nilikuwa naona nitaweza nikiwa peke yangu. Nilivyohangaika nikawa sina uwezo tena, nikaja kwake.
February this year, she was diagnosed with thyroid cancer and her journey of pain and despair began.
Kuna uchungu mwingi, kuna saa unasikia uchungu wa kichwa, inabidi nilale na tumbo nile chakula nikiwa nimelala. Hivyo ninang'ang'ana, tunapata madawa. Tukipata dawa, nikipata nafuu kidogo, ninasema asante Mungu. Kuna saa kutafuna kwenyewe, iya pande ukilemea unashindwa hata kutafuna. Sasa inabidi ning'ang'ane niseme we Mungu uliniumba na unajua sababu. Nang'ang'ana hivyo. Baada ya siku 2-3 najisikia nimepata nafuu, ninakuwa sawa. Ninaendelea tu kawaida na nasema asante.
According to her sister Jacinta Mwikali, the journey has been excruciating and have exhausted all avenues.
Kwa sasa Mwende anapotumia zile dawa, tukiweza kuzipata za kutosha na wakati unaofaa, hizo uvimbe zitapungua. Kwa sasa hawezi kufanya operation. Dozi yake moja ina cost 256,000 ambayo ni ya mwezi mmoja, na anafaa atumie kwa muda wa miezi 9. Tayari amepata za miezi 2, so bado miezi 7. Tafadhalini tuomba mtusaidie.
To support the family, well-wishers may channel their financial support through Jacinta's mobile number 0724 275556 or National Bank account number 0124 5096978400. For Legends Edition from Mombasa County, I am Anburu.
That's extremely sad. Let's dig deep into our pockets and help Magdalene Mwende raise funds for her medication. Residents of Pumwani area in Kamukunji constituency, Nairobi County, are calling on the media to shift focus away from politics to development issues affecting the common mwananchi. Elsewhere, residents of Chewayet village in Kapenguria, West Pokot County, are mourning the untimely demise of 3 people who drowned in a borehole.
At a town hall meeting in Kamukunji constituency, Nairobi County, dubbed Taking the Media to the People, organized by the Kenya Editors Guild, residents called out on members of the fourth estate for what they term as negative portrayal of Majengo, Kamukunji and Pumwani areas. Editors present acknowledged the concern and pledged to continue engaging with the public.
We want that the service that the media offers, the people who consume this particular service, they should also be able to participate in it.
Still in Nairobi County, a section of residents in Mathare Informal Settlement has raised concern over vaccine inequalities, saying Mathare North Hospital, which is administering the vaccine in the area, lacks capacity to serve the population.
Well, we've heard from them that those who have experienced COVID-19 related symptoms, who have attempted to use NHIF to treat them, they've been told those ones are not covered under NHIF.
Meanwhile, residents of Chewayet village in Kapenguria, West Pokot County, are mourning the untimely demise of 3 people who drowned in a borehole on Friday evening.
Ndio kijana tu alikuwa anachota maji. So kuchota maji ndio ikakatika. Ndio wakati ilikatika akaifuata. So kuifuata kumbe mwenzake naye alikuwa hapo akamfuata. So kumfuata ndio sasa ndio raise alarm na kuenda kuangana kupata mtu wa kuingia ndani. Yule kijana wakati aliingia ndani, wakati alikuwa anataka ku rescue alikuwa mawalete ndio kamba ikakatikia katikati. Finally,
a family from Kibera constituency, Nairobi County, is searching for their kin who has been missing since November 22nd last year. Thomas Odhiambo says his 20-year-old son David Odor has a medical condition that hinders his ability to express himself.
David alikuwa na shida ya kiakili. Alianza kugonjeka 2016 mwezi wa 8. Nikampeleka mpaka Kenyatta, wakamtibu, wakaniambia tukimtibu miezi 8 atakuwa sawa. Kweli baadaye alikuwa sawa. Tena baada ya mwezi mmoja tena akaanza.
Anyone with the information on his whereabouts can reach the family on 0712405026. Muhammad Adan, Legends Edition.
Now, before we take a short break, just to remind you, stay tuned for our Living Legends guest, iconic Assef Karim, legend in 2 sports, tennis and cricket. Straight away after the break.
Yeah! Take a musical trip around Africa right here on KBC Channel 1. Every Sunday from 2 to 3 p.m. on Afro Vibes.
Because this is the hottest show right now.
We give you a musical cocktail from North Africa, Central Africa, West, South and East of Africa.
We are live and we are loud.
Where party today? I want to show them my attitude today. Your Sunday will never be the same again with
DJ D and
DJ Leo on Afro Vibes.
Your musical passport to Africa.
Allow me to enjoy myself. Allow me to enjoy myself. Allow me to enjoy myself.
So when this time came, I knew there was something I wanted to say about Kisumu.
Yeah.
So that I had this Kisumu town.
Yes.
The picture in me, the people, the kind of transport.
Yes.
When you go to Kisumu, you can go by air. You know we are Jalus.
Yeah.
You can fly to Kisumu.
Yes.
You can use different means.
Yes.
I was in clubs, entertaining, dancing. I'm a good dancer. I was dancing Dombolo, just solo. If you know Dombolo. I don't know if you used to love Lingala music.
I love Lingala.
Me, I'm a serious dancer. I'm still a serious dancer.
Yes.
Dekaido terawina, ayaye tera diamba Kisumu, Kisumu ber Kisumu, etera diamba Kisumu, boda boda, swaya kondele. Hey, I'm Susanna Wheel. Catch me on the Cynthia Nyamai's show.
Nikifa utapumzika.
Me and Dingo have a son together.
Wewe ni wewe mpaka ukishikibiriti kilepuke ndio usikie mlio wako usikie.
Kwa sababu mimi ndio mamake huyu mtoto na mimi ndio najua uchungu wa huyu mtoto. Na wewe wangangania nini kwa Laban na hakupendi? Si umwachie Casey?
You homewrecker.
Is Casey the reason why mom left?
What?
Unadhani pakiongezwa Habel hapa mambo yatakuwaje?
Sababu humu ndani hakuna aliyekuona na ujauzito.
I suggest you save that fight for another time, my darling husband.
Welcome back. It's an extreme privilege and honor to have the iconic living legend Assef Karim as our guest tonight on the Legends Edition. A legend in two sports in the fields of cricket and tennis. Welcome, Assef. It's an absolute pleasure to have you as our guest tonight. A man with so many sporting achievements, you leave everybody spellbound. Don't have the words to describe it. So in your own words, accomplished amazing feats in two sports, representing the country in tennis and cricket. Let's hear it from you.
Yes, I'm coming from Mombasa, from a small town where there is a heritage of my father and the family in sports, in those two sports, and my father also used to play volleyball. So we had a good background on where we come from in sports, and the encouragement that we received at home with the legacy that my father left. I think it was just inbound that we will try and continue and continue the spirit that he gave us and the opportunity.
So he was your source of inspiration as such?
Oh, indeed, definitely an inspiration, and he was an inspiration to so many people in those days where sports was a major issue in a community. So in Mombasa town, with a small town, he was a legend in every respect.
Brilliant. So give us a little brief about how you started off in tennis and how you transitioned to cricket. I mean, you represented Kenya at junior and senior level in tennis as well, and of course you are a dear captain for the Kenyan cricket team.
Yes, of course, I've had a wonderful journey from childhood when we used to play junior tennis and cricket simultaneously, because in those days in school you played everything, whether it was tennis, cricket, football, anything and everything had its own season. So it was a communal sport. Cricket and tennis was a very popular community sports in the club that I played at Jaffrey Sports Club, and so that was inevitable that when you're born you are going to ingrained into that sports. And so because of the legacy and the exposure and the opportunity my father gave us, I got into tennis, junior tennis, played a lot of tennis in Nairobi because Mombasa also had very limited. So we used to travel regularly to Nairobi to play tennis, and then graduated to senior level, and of course cricket at the same time when Mombasa Sports Club played in the National League in the Kenya Cricket Association from 1980. So that's how the exposure started.
So after the transition from tennis, when was it the first time that you represented Kenya in terms of cricket?
Well, it's very funny because I played more tennis, but I represented Kenya in cricket before tennis. In 1980, when I was 17, when we went on our tour to Zimbabwe, and one of the players got injured in the last minute and I was put into the team. And so that was my first tour in 1980, and then went to America on a tennis scholarship. I studied there for 4.5 years, graduated, played the highest level of tennis. At that time, this was after winning the Bjorn Borg Trophy. Also had an opportunity to represent Kenya in Europe, where I had the opportunity to play various junior championships, including the French Open in Paris.
Wow, that is just amazing. Just moving on, or rather just expounding on tennis, Kenya didn't make it to the Davis Cup Group 2 playoffs last week. Is there a potential to see Kenya back to Group 2 and Group 1 like in the days of Paul Wekesa and yourself?
I think Kenya has a rich history also. I mean, in every sport, including tennis. We've had legends in tennis that have played with people like Yashwin Shreta, my dad, Paul Wekesa, and many others. And right now the standards had gone low for various reasons. But the youngsters that played for our country last week in Egypt, I think did a good job. I think what they need right now is more exposure, get more opportunities to play competitively, because that's the only way you improve. You cannot play a one-off tournament in a year and expect to get major results.
Because you only improve when you play with better teams.
Indeed.
That's the only way of improvement.
Absolutely. So we need to create that atmosphere where they get to play more competitively, individual tournaments in Europe or other countries where tennis is quite strong. As you've seen, the tennis standards in the globe is phenomenally high.
Absolutely phenomenal.
We need to rise above everything to get to that level.
The key word, exposure.
Indeed. Exposure is the key to everything. And so we have the facilities here. We need to create a good environment, get more youngsters back into the sport that is lacking right now.
All right. Now, cricket. Your time in the team as a player and captain. Tell us about cricket and you, and how much it meant to you, and how special was it?
Well, as I said, I first played for Kenya in 1980. I was only 17 and had a journey lasting for 23 years to play for the nation. Having started at the very bottom and finishing semi-finals of the World Cup 2003, which the globe always talks about, and so we've had a wonderful journey.
That was just amazing.
I mean, amazing.
We were glued to our television sets, and you were just phenomenal. Well, absolutely phenomenal.
I think the team did fantastic. And I think the real defining moment was in '94. When we hosted the Associate Trophy here. 20 countries participated and Kenya qualified for the '96 World Cup. And that was our first major exposure at international level.
That was a defining moment.
And indeed. And then a year later, we got the one-day international status. We played the World Cup in '99, and then 2003, where Kenya reached the semi-finals of something that people today talk about.
The match with Australia. Very, very memorable show for all of us, and specifically you.
Indeed.
Tell us a little more about that.
Well, indeed. I mean, you cannot get a better...
That was a semi-final, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was pre-semi-final.
Pre-semi-final.
We had already qualified, but there was a very important match because you're playing the world champions, and of course you want to do well against them. And so we went with a very positive spirit in this entire tournament. And as we went into the tournament, we were getting stronger and stronger, and we had very good wins against many, including Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and so we were doing extremely well, including Zimbabwe when we reached the semi-finals. So Australia was an important match, and it's something that people talk about. Maybe I'm sitting here because of that performance that was there, and it was a wonderful moment. I mean, when you are putting the world champions on a back foot, you cannot get a better exit to an international career in sports. So it's something that I treasure to date.
What are the stats? It was 8.2 overs. How many maidens?
6 maidens.
6 maidens, and
3 wickets for 7
runs.
Correct. Yes.
That was absolutely amazing.
Indeed.
Phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Yes.
And the wickets you took?
Was Ricky Ponting, who's
Ricky
regarded
Ponting?
as an all-time great batsman, Darren Lehman and Brad Hogg.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was a top batsman.
Indeed.
Because Brad Hogg was an all-rounder.
Yes.
Darren Lehman and of course Ricky Ponting, top frontline batsman for Australia.
Indeed.
And you were the man of the match.
Well, what was interesting is that we lost that match, but yet I got man of the match. So it must have been very special for the people who are adjudicating, and it is something that is being talked about to date even on social media.
Yes, and you've got 20 million views.
Yeah,
for that's on Facebook and I think on YouTube.
Yes, in fact, I mean, that's phenomenal. When I received a clip last week and we said over 20 million views on that clip. So it's something that I feel good about. I cannot deny that, and something I will treasure for the rest of my life.
Great achievement.
Thank you.
Now, moving on, we go on to we talk about a documentary, The Karims, a sporting dynasty. Can you expound further on that?
Yes.
The Karim's a big name when it comes to sports.
Indeed.
And a very strong history.
Correct. A history of almost 100 years. When we were traveling to various countries to play tennis or cricket, you would inevitably come out of the airport and you see a huge poster of the superstar there. You go to the bookshops, you see their sportsmen, the posters all over. And then I wondered myself that, Kenyans equally have done well, but we don't have anything to document or anything for heritage. So I felt the first thing I would like to do is to honor my parents for what they have done, for the exposure that they've given us, and for the achievements that my father has done in sports. And so that was the concept of how the documentary was done and the coffee table book.
Oh, and incidentally, your father was a Coast Open champion for a spell of 25 years?
25 years from 1951 to 1977.
In tennis, right?
In tennis, indeed. And he was also a very good cricketer in his own right.
Absolute talent in the Karims.
Yeah. So that's when the book and the documentary, and then the documentary featured in various film festivals around the world, including India, where I was invited with my wife. So when we were watching the different sports movies from around the world, it struck to me all of a sudden that, these are phenomenal stories, but Kenyans...
And that brilliant idea came to your mind.
Absolutely. That's where the
Kenya International Sports Film Festival, which was founded in 2018.
Yeah, correct. And I decided that after we launched the documentary and the book formally, the next project would be the film festival. And so we incepted in 2018. This is going to be our 4th year. This year we're going to have it also virtual as the 2nd year. And Fayaz, what is interesting, we get submissions on over 1,000 movies every year from over 100 countries. So this is a huge festival right now, and it would be good for people to follow it. It's going to be virtual. It's from 28th October this year to 31st October.
Excellent. Finally, what next for Kenyan sports?
Well,
to round it all up.
Yes. Well, Kenyan sports, again, as I say, has a rich history, but we have let ourselves down. I think the ministry, the administration that we have right now is a lot to desire. The results speak for itself. I sometimes wonder, and I feel sad for the president because he had it in his manifesto on improving the sports in this country. He has appointed ministers who I think have let him down. All the last 3 ministers have really not justified their position, and I think it's really for the president to relook at his manifesto and the people that he has appointed, because I think sports in Kenya is synonymous. Kenya has a rich history. In fact, when we speak about Commonwealth Games or Olympic, we don't discuss if Kenya will win any gold medals. The discussion would be how many gold medals will Kenya win this year?
True.
So we really need to revamp it. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. A lot of lives are at stake here. People can earn a lot of money. It's a living. It's a great opportunity. Not only that, it's a great opportunity to create a job, which is part of the president's manifesto.
I agree with you 100%. We really need to invest in our youth, who will be our sports heroes tomorrow.
Indeed.
So we need to look at the whole thing in a very clear perspective. Thank you very much, Assef. You've been a wonderful living legend guest. And you know what? Our fist shake, days of COVID, but it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here with us tonight.
Thank you, Venizman. Great to have you back in the show, and I'm sure many viewers are looking forward to having you back on the screen.
Thank you very much, Assef.
All the best.
Right, it's back to the glory days, teaming up with my very good friend Terpili Ambila, who is all set to give us the latest from the world of sports.
Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima tutaangazia ufugaji eneo la Mathare.
ufugaji wa kuku nasema inakuaga sawa juu manufaa ni mingi. Kitu ya kwanza ni mayai. Huwezi kosa mayai. Tunauzaga mayai, hiyo mayai, na tunauza kama hizo za kuku tunauzanga 25 moja. Hizo za duck tunauzaga, duck ya kawaida ni 30 bob. Taki sasa mayai moja inakuaga 150. Varanga zake bado ziko juu.
Kisha tukuze matunda yaliyoadimika. Usikose kujiunga nasi Jumapili saa 9:30 hapa KBC Channel 1 kwa uondo kamili.
Kiufupi watisha.
Unajua nini Maria? Yaani nataka mnipendeze.
Wasemaje?
Ama kola sonaja mnamji wenu Kupe mama gana.
Namshangaa. Kambe vile alijui ati.
Hapa kaliki mheshimiwa, huyu amehatarisha maisha yangu kwa hatarini.
Vipi? Mtoto vipi sasa?
Huyu alikuja na shida yake.
Good evening, I'm Topi Liambila with the sports segment of the Legends edition this Saturday evening. Kenya's dominance in the world athletics witnessed even without fans at Kasarani Stadium as Harrison Wanyonyi clinched a gold medal in the 10,000-meter walk race. Wanyonyi timed 42 minutes 10.84 seconds. Meanwhile, Vincent Keter produced a stunning performance and clinched gold in the 1500-meter final. Let's take a look.
Durand of France and Gramachkov.
The medal hunt for Kenya was successful in the early session as Ariston Wanyonyi claims a gold in the 10,000 meters walk race. Wanyonyi timed 42 minutes 10.84 seconds, followed by a mate of India who clocked 42 minutes 17.94 seconds. Spaniard Paul McGrath claims a bronze after timing 46 minutes 26.11 seconds.
Took it. My goodness, he worked really hard for that as well because he went through some tough times in the middle of that race.
Kwa nimeleta ya Ivory Coast Africa, sasa hii ni ya world. Sasa I thank God to this. I graduated to senior, so when I get a chance to go to Time Olympic, I will participate well.
Kenya still leads in the athletics championships at Kasarani, and they end tomorrow with a very interesting results. The first batch of the Kenya national team to this year's Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games left the country this evening to Japan just 3 days before the start of the Games, postponed from last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. A total of 9 Kenyan sportsmen and women will compete in the Games, which will run until September the 5th in Tokyo, Japan.
After nearly 2 months of bubble training, the Kenyan team to this year's Tokyo Paralympic Games has started to jet off, with the first batch, which included weightlifter Helen Wawira, leaving earlier this evening.
So far, we thank the government and the Ministry of Sports, because they put us earlier in the camp. So we have been training for the last 2 months, which have never been done, but this time, because of the earlier camping, we are going to make it, because our athletes have trained so hard. So we are believing and hoping that they are going to win.
29-year-old Wawira is targeting a podium finish, and she will be the first Kenyan Paralympian to compete at the Games.
Nimejitayarisha vizuri kwa sababu training yangu imekuwa nzuri. Sijakuwa na shida yoyote, sijakuwa na injury. So tegemeo langu ni kwenda kufanya mazuri huko Japan.
The rest of the athletes will be living in batches until the 25th of this month.
This lady, as you know very well,
He have gone to 3 qualifiers. On the last qualifiers, he competed in Dubai, and he performed very well. According to powerlifting, the more you have, the lesser weight, and the more you are carrying the heavy weight, you have the advantage. So the body weight is under 40, and is carrying more than 90.
The 9 Kenyan athletes will represent the country in 3 disciplines: athletics, powerlifting and rowing, which has one athlete, Asia Mohamed.
Siwezi sema ni heavy burden kwa sababu hata kama nimekuwa na dada wa kwanza kwa powerlifting, siwezi sikia nikuwa pressured juu kuna wengine bado watakuja na tutakuwa tu na wao huko.
At the last games held in Rio, Brazil 5 years ago, Kenya bagged a total of 6 medals: 3 gold, 1 silver and 2 bronze medals.
We all wish Team Kenya the best in the upcoming games in Tokyo. Back on the local scene, Kasarani are the inaugural Nairobi Region Boda Cup champions. After defeating Dakoreti South 3-0 in an entertaining final played today at the Nairobi Jacaranda grounds. The tournament aims at sensitizing the Boda riders across the country on road safety besides nurturing the talent.
This is a nationwide tour, so it's going to go across, and at least we're hoping to get the main final before December, but this will be at least across from Nairobi to Central to Eastern to Western, all the way through.
We are going around the country until we do our finals. The message will be road safety. We, as an association, we are also handling matters to do with the crime prevention, actively having our riders participate in sporting activities.
Ni vizuri kwanza tukuje kwa mpira, kwa sababu mpira lazima uichunge katika uwanja, ndio isitoke nje usimumize mwenzako, na ndio hiyo ujumbe ambao tunatoka hapa kwa uwanja tuweze kuipeleka katika barabara zetu, ndio tuweze kuchunga magari za wengine, kitu kiteteka all other road users.
And finally, on the international scene, the EPL. Liverpool made it 2 Premier League wins from 2 games with a 2-0 victory over Burnley at a packed Anfield Stadium today. Goals from Diogo Jota and Sadio Mane saw off a spirited Burnley as the Reds stretched the unbeaten league run to 12 games. There were wins also for Manchester City and Aston Villa.
Simicast, shot at the target, shot at the scorer. Liverpool off the mark at Anfield, and Diogo Jota gets the goal. Van Dijk, Elliott to Alexander-Arnold, Sadio Mane, brilliant goal, absolutely fantastic football. Rises to applaud an excellent Liverpool goal. It was slick, it was precise. That's a perfect pass here for Gabriel Jesus, and it's found a way in. Torres may have got a touch, other possibilities as well, but that didn't take long. Well, Scott, the referee, decided that was no foul, and here's Torres! Manchester City are in such a menacing mood already. And Gundogan does send it straight in. And onto the ball first. Norwich failed to do that. Clinical finish, but when you're doing zone Palmer to come onto the game, 3-0 up. And that's a lovely ball through. That's Sterling. Yep, and the flag stays down. It's Morris. A team that have struggled for goals in recent games. Manchester City and Riyad Mahrez did.
And with that action from the English Premier League action, This is a wrap for the sports segment of the Legends edition this Saturday evening. Hope that you tune in next week for another edition. Now it's over to my good old buddy, my friend from long time, Fayaz Qureshi, to drop the curtain on this edition of the news.
Thank you very much, Topi Liambila. Always great with the sports news. And that's all from our newsroom. Be sure you join us next Saturday and every Saturday at 9 p.m. for the Legends Bulletin on KBC Channel 1. I am Fayaz Qureshi. Have a good night.